Hi, favorite teacher. I'm Tori from Next Day Teaching, where I give you classroom management tips and strategies that you can use tomorrow. I've been hearing a lot of talk lately about the importance of giving students brain breaks during class. And I think we can all agree brain breaks are important. In fact, I already recorded a video showing you my 7 favorites. I'll leave that link in the description below, so make sure you check that out. But even though we can agree that brain breaks are important, they're a good thing, the question then becomes, when do we do them? How do we know students actually need a brain break versus they're just goofing off or they're just trying to get out of class, that sort of thing? Now, the good news is if you've set up your expectations correctly, brain breaks shouldn't take very long. So you can do them as often as needed within reason, which I'll talk about in a moment. But there are definitely times that are more suited for brain breaks. So today I want to talk to you about 5 ways that you can know at a glance whether your students are ready for and need a brain break. So the first sign is noise level rising. Now, sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want that high energy, high volume interaction. Maybe it's a really engaging group activity, or maybe it's a really high energy review game. You want the energy up. But other times, if it's an independent activity or it's a low energy assignment, or certainly during any sort of test, you want the energy calm. You want the noise level low or 0. So in those times, you're going to say something like, class, I've noticed that the noise level in the room is getting really, really high. This is making it hard for our classmates to concentrate. So I need everyone to put your materials down, put your books down, your pencils down. You're going to stand up. We need to do a quick refocus brain break. As simple as that. You go into your brain break, you get in, you get out, you send it back to their seats, and you repeat the expectation of the noise level is expected to be 0 at this time, or you shouldn't be talking louder than a whisper. The second sign that students are ready for a brain break is that their heads are either on their desk or they're leaning on their hand. Students tend to look where their focus is. So if that's you or your board or an anchor chart on the wall, great. But if they're looking down, chances are their focus is drooping as well. So this is not one where like, ooh, I see one person has their head down, time for a brain break. This is more when most of the students have their heads down, when you notice that students who normally keep their heads up are suddenly leaning on them. You're probably going to have to use this more often during a first period class than you would a 10th period class, just because students tend to be a little bit more sleepy first thing in the morning. So when you notice that students start to lower their heads, you're going to say something like, class, it seems like we're having a really hard time keeping our heads up, keeping our focus. I know it's early in the morning, but this is a really important assignment. I need everyone to, we're going to do a quick brain break to wake ourselves up. Everyone, please put your pencils down, stand up. I need you on your feet, stand up, everybody up, 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 up. Keep encouraging them. I'm thinking especially 8th graders, period 1. Keep encouraging them to stand up. You can't and shouldn't force them, but encourage as much as you can. They need to be standing. They need to be prepared to move a little bit. All right, the third time you might use a brain break is if students are going to be sitting or have been sitting for a long time. This happens quite a lot in schools. Maybe it's during benchmark testing 3 times a year, during yearly testing, which is usually in the spring or sometimes in the fall, right before an assembly, right after an assembly, right before a long bus ride, even a 20-minute lecture, which is like half a middle school class period. But for an 11 or even a 14-year-old, sitting and focusing for 20 minutes is asking a lot. So you can do this a couple of ways. If you know that they're going into a time when they're going to be expected to be sitting for a long time, you can do a proactive brain break. That would sound something like, class, we're about to go down to the gym for an assembly. You're going to be sitting and expected to focus for about an hour. So we're going to do a brain break right now to get your brains locked in and really ready to focus on this assembly. Pro tip. Don't say locked in unless it actually fits your teaching style. If you try too hard to match their slang, they're going to know. Now, the other kind of long sitting brain break would be a reactive one. So that would be like during benchmark testing, you say something like, class, I know you've been sitting for a really long time. It's really hard to stay sitting and stay quiet and to stay focused. We're asking a lot of your brains. We're going to do a quick brain break now because we do have one more test coming up and I need your focus. We can't make this an exciting brain break because there are other classes testing, but we need to get up, get you moving. Please stand up. Let's get into a brain break. And then make sure the brain break you pick is one that's more movement based if you can. All right, the next time that you might use a brain break is if students are disengaged. They are no longer thinking about the assignment. They are no longer thinking about your lesson. They're not even thinking about school. They are just completely checked out. So you'll know that students are disengaged because you've had to repeat simple directions several times. We're talking like, please take out your book or go get this paper. If you have to repeat that several times, and they're assuming, of course, there's no other factors that are influencing the student's ability to follow that direction, if they're not following it still, they're probably disengaged. They're mentally checked out. They're thinking about something else. So kind of like the other brain breaks where we've talked about the noise level or the heads on desk sort of thing. If it's just one or two students, we're talking like your frequent flyers, the ones who are frequently checked out, then it might not be the best to stop the entire class to do a brain break. But if you're noticing that everyone is having a hard time following these directions, okay, then it's time to adjust and regroup and regather their attention. So that might sound something like, class, I've had to ask several times for you to take your books out and turn to page 14. We're having a really hard time following that direction, so I need everyone to stop what you're doing. Yes, put your books down, return to your seats, everyone stand up because I need you really focused on this right now. So we're going to do a quick brain break, then we're going to regroup. After the brain break, you're going to get your book out and open to page 14. Okay, something to get their attention back where it belongs for this moment. All right, and then the last one is distracted students. So kind of like disengaged, but whereas students who are disengaged, they're like completely checked out. Distracted students, they're paying attention to something, but it's not you. They're paying attention to their friend across the classroom who's making faces. They're paying attention to the garbage truck down the street. They're paying attention to something. It's just not what you need them to pay attention to. So you'll know students are distracted because they are asking multiple questions repeatedly, and usually they're questions you've already answered. Wait, what page? Wait, what are we supposed to have? They're questions you've already answered, and they're still asking the same question because they're not paying attention to your answer. They're thinking about something else. Or because they're having frequent side conversations with their friend, of course their attention's not on you, it's on their conversation. So if you're noticing that you have a lot of distracted students or enough distracted students that a whole class brain break would be appropriate at this time, you're going to say something like, class, it seems like we're having a really hard time focusing today. Go ahead and put your pencils down. Everyone stand up. We're going to do a quick brain break to get your brain refocused, to get you back on track. Everybody up. And then you go through with your brain break. So next time you're teaching, keep an eye on your students for those signs. The noise level rising, heads on desks. If you're going to be sitting or have been sitting for a long time, disengaged students or distracted students. Make sure you check out the other video that I talked about, the 7 brain breaks that are my favorite, classroom tested. I wouldn't give you anything that I haven't used myself. Also, I'm putting another link in the description for a free set of my 8 favorite brain breaks. It's the 7 I show you in the video plus 1 secret one. Plus there's an energy flow chart checklist thing so that you can match what your class's energy is like to the best brain break that I found that matches that sort of energy and what energy level you want students to have. Okay, so make sure you check those out, and I hope you have calm transitions and quiet hallways.